question in everybody's mind, what's going to happen to oil availability, not just in the world, but in India?
I don't want to brag, but you know, they've said this about a lot of things. No other president can do some of this shit I'm doing.
You've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared?
Well, I think you could say it both. Well, I think you could say it both. Well, I think you could say it both. Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done.
And I said, why didn't we just capture the ship? We're going to use it. Why did we sink them? He said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better.
You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, is the West Asia war over, or is it just the beginning? 11 days into Donald Trump's war on Iran, and the world is still asking, what exactly is his plan? Or does he even have a plan in the first place? And the world is paying the price for this fickle-mindedness. The Strait of Hormuz, carrying nearly 20% or 30% of global oil, is choked. 157 vessels remain stranded, and barely 45 ships have transited since the war began. Oil prices are violently oscillating. From $73 on February 28, they shot up to $120 per barrel on the 9th of March and are now sliding to around $80 to $90 where they have been through the day today. But how long will this status last? Iran says it is ready for a 10-year war, and the United States Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth promises the most intense day of strikes will be tonight. While Washington fires missiles and mixed messages, India is left doing the damage control. The government is firing on all cylinders to secure energy supplies and to ensure that there is no LPG and LNG panic. But the opposition is more than keen on pressing the panic button. The question is, why?
We are not creating panic. It's a very serious issue. The world is getting affected because of that. And Government of India wants to close their eyes and say that all is well. All is not well.
सरकार जो कह रही है और असलियत जो है उसमें फर्क है। बेंगलोर के रेस्टोरेंट एसोसिएशन, होटल एसोसिएशन ने कहा कि हम बंद कर रहे हैं। तो कुल मिलाकर स्थिति तो ऐसी है ना।
This is not a political war. This is the need of the hour. It is our duty to raise the voice. Our entire hotel industry, commercial industry has been affected, and it is the duty of the same government to give us petrol, diesel, and the gas. So it is a big failure of the central government. We want them to discuss. We will jointly raise our voice on this issue.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate with Shehzad, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Ashwini and Nivan Sharma is Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow at the IPCS. And Abhijit Iyer Mitra, let me begin with you first. Strategic situation on the oil front, how do you see it? And do you see the oil prices hovering around the $80-90 per barrel mark, or are we getting into even more serious territory? Because the government of India has said up to $130 a barrel is something we can handle. Beyond that, situation will be tense. What do you think?
I suspect, Navika, it's going to go up to about 150, 120 per barrel. But remember, historically, these prices have always equalized. The only time they did not equalize and stay high was in 1973, when the entire Arab bloc imposed an oil embargo and restricted their own supplies. During the first Gulf War, during the invasion of Iraq, etc., the disruptions have always normalized after about 25 to 30 days, number one. Number two, we need to remember, in Delhi, we pay 95 rupees per liter of petrol. Only about 7 to 10 rupees is actually the cost of the petrol. The rest goes in taxes, which funds all the other government schemes and things like that. So even if it goes up to about 140, you are perfectly fine dealing with the cost of it. The government absorbs, the government kitty comes down a bit, but otherwise you're perfectly fine absorbing it. Number 3, we need to remember that the Vladivostok to Jamnagar route, because of the new Eastern Maritime Corridor, takes 24 days. Any shortages that you have, it requires only 24 days to fill them out. We need to remember, right now, all houses are being supplied at full capacity. Industrial capacity has been cut to between 80 and 90%, and the reason for that has been hoarding. So one of the things that the government has been doing is to prevent hoarding, which is why there's a public statement out right now in order to,
Absolutely.
I mean, hoarding only happens because of uncertainty. When you give certainty, hoarding doesn't happen.
Absolutely, and that's what the government is doing. Ashwini, where is the problem with that? The government is saying domestic consumers are our priority, so industrial consumers will have to pay the price, which means the availability will be diverted to domestic consumers. Are you against that policy? Do you want restaurants to function at the cost of homes of people? Really?
I think you should ask this question to Mr. Tejasvi Surya, who is the Member of Parliament from Bharatiya Janata Party. I have a letter from him, which is written to Hardeep Puri, our Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. He says, requesting for continuity of LPG supply to the restaurant hospitality sector. I don't have to read the entire letter. I'm sure you already have it, Navika ji. The problem is, when opposition asks a question, it becomes a taboo. And media has a master stroke syndrome. For media and the BJP ecosystem, everything is master stroke. मुझे तो ये डर है कि कल को ये नहीं ना बोल दे इकोसिस्टम कि देश में ऑयल प्राइसेस बढ़ गए हैं, अब व्हीकल्स नहीं चलेंगे और एयर पोल्यूशन खत्म हो जाएगा. मोदी जी का मास्टर स्ट्रोक. That is the biggest problem for me, because we are in this situation right now.
आपके प्रॉब्लम्स का रेंज बहुत बड़ा है. आपके प्रॉब्लम्स का रेंज इतना बड़ा है कि ये वाले प्रॉब्लम्स शायद ही कोई सॉल्व कर पाएगा. आप कर सकते हैं शहजाद जी, प्लीज सॉल्व हिज प्रॉब्लम.
देखिए, क्रूड ऑयल तो स्कैर्स नहीं है, पर कांग्रेस से सच्चाई की स्कैर्सिटी जरूर है. देयर आर टू थिंग्स, क्रूड ऑयल and then the LPG CNG. Let me explain both. In crude oil situation, for the first time we have done triple D, diversified, deepened our reserves, and domestic allocations have been changed. For instance, diversified means we don't just buy the oil from one country or two countries, but from 40 countries, and 60% comes from non-Hormuz area. Then even now we are continuing to buy from Russia. We have deepened our reserves. That means we have 50 days reserve. That is 25 days of crude oil and 25 days of petroleum products. We have gone for domestic alternatives. For instance, first time we have gone for 20% ethanol blending. We have transferred our entire train system to electrical, so it does not require the diesel. We have gone and changed, even we are switching to EVs, etc. So some of the domestic consumption comes down. In fact, they used to keep saying that Russia se tel band kar diya, band kar diya. Let me tell you, Trump assumed office, buying 35 to 25%. Trump puts tariffs, buying 25 to 30% from Russia. Operation Sindoor, buying 25 to 35%. 50% tariff on India, still buying 25 to 35%. And trade frameworks trying, even then we are buying 25 to 35%. In fact, February 2026, maximum oil was purchased from Russia. And Mr. Abhijit Iyer Mitra is sitting right here. You can check with him. Now let's come to the LPG CNG situation. This is little different because viewers will understand that crude oil can be stored easily. It's a liquid. LPG CNG is not liquid. It is gaseous state, so you need to have huge arrangements and infrastructure like either a compressed system or a cryogenic system, which is difficult for most countries, and therefore you have to get the supply continuously. Even there we have amped up our production domestically. Butane and propane has been diversified for not other petroleum products, but for this we have ensured that 100% domestic supply, 100% supply to transport, 80% supply is that from the average of 6 months to tea, manufacturing, industry, other hospitals, fertilizers 70%. And even for restaurants and other establishments, whatever extra supply is there, that will be provided. Now I want to ask just 2 or 3 questions to the Congress party spokesperson. Please tell me one thing. You are talking about LPG prices. You know, LPG price was 1241 for 2014 January for non-subsidized cylinder, and today even after 60 rupees rise, it is 913. We are selling it to more people. Today, 10 crore plus families are getting the LPG cylinder after Ayushman, after Ujjwala coverage. Still then the price is lower. and no subsidized at the same price.
डेटा से उनको मतलब नहीं है, डेटा और फैक्ट से उनका कोई
क्या मतलब?
हाँ, डेटा से उनका कोई लेना देना नहीं है. But I want to ask the Adani, Ambani abusers in this country, in the opposition. I want to ask. There is a statement that has come up from the Reliance Industries, which says taking proactive steps to maximize LPG production, maximizing LPG output from refining and petrochemicals complexes. So they have given a statement that they are ramping up their productions to meet the domestic demand. Niman Sharma, that's what industry does, that's what coordination with the government does, and that's what they are saying. We'll continue to work closely with the government. What else do you want the government to do?
We want our government to be more responsible, and we want our government to know the issue, to understand the issue, and not to run away from the issue like all other issues. We want our government to prepare for the crisis that the world is going to face because of this war. Our government is clearly not bothered. And abhi ye Shehzad was talking, Shehzad Punewala was talking about 3 Ds. I'll also tell you 3 D failures of Modi government. Diplomatic failure, dollar shock, and diesel scarcity. That's going to happen now.
Diesel scarcity.
Going to happen.
Diesel scarcity.
Going to happen. आपको पहले से पता है? आप होड़ तो नहीं कर रहे?
नहीं, नाविका जी पूरे वर्ल्ड को पता है.
अच्छा, डीजल स्कैरसिटी, ओके.
एलाबोरेट को पता है, सिंगापुर जैसे देश को पता है, and what they are doing is they are preparing for their people, and what our government is doing, our government is giving diesel and petrol to Bangladesh.
Now let me answer this.
Okay. 1 minute before I come to you, Shehzad. Anand Ranganathan, आप सिर क्यों पकड़ रहे हैं?
नहीं, बिकॉज एक तो मैं इन पे तो पकड़ ही रहा हूं, मैं आप पे भी, आपने जो कर रही हैं उस पे भी पकड़ रहा हूं, बिकॉज यू ब्रोकन योर ओन लॉ. On the panel, you brought not just 1 but 3 rational and logical people. Normally मैं जो बोलना चाहता हूं वो खुद बोलता था. अब ये अभिजीत ने और शहजाद ने जो मैं तैयार होके आया था वो 17-18 फैक्ट सारे बोल दिए.
तो कोई बात नहीं.
मैं बोलना चाहता हूं. अब मैं प्लीज मुझे देखिए जो उन्होंने कहा एब्सोल्युटली लॉजिकल, फैक्चुअल, एंड अब अश्विनी जी क्या आपको कुछ वो राहुल गांधी ने सिखाया गुंडाई करने को? यार, आई एम वेटिंग पेशेंटली फॉर माई टर्न, आई वोंट गेट मोर देन 20 seconds. व्हाट इज रॉन्ग विद यू यार? सुन लो, कंप्यूटर इंजीनियर हो.
Don't praise yourself.
Okay, all right. I don't have time for all of this. Anand.
Yes. So what I want to say is that the problem is not with the petroleum. The problem clearly is with the LPG, because the government taxes that less as well, and we haven't yet diversified it as much as we can diversify with the petroleum. So you remember demonetization? Yes, India was going digital, but when the demonetization shock came, it started on a speed which was hitherto unseen before for digitization. I want the same thing to happen for our solar reliance. Now, you know, 10 years ago, we had installed capacity of 2 gigawatts. Now it's 100 gigawatts.
Okay.
I want slowly to switch to solar now.
All right, fair point, but Shehzad, 30 seconds. Diesel to Bangladesh when we should conserve it for our own country.
You know, apart from being a very big importer, India is actually one of the biggest exporters of petroleum products, and we have earned a lot of money because we buy at discounted rates and we refine them, our world-class refineries, and we send it. Today, there is no crude oil situation that is prevailing. In fact, he does not want India should earn foreign exchange. So this anti-national Aam Aadmi Party is saying today that India, for Bangladesh's sake, should give up its foreign exchange reserve. He was just now saying dollar. और डॉलर में पैसा मिलेगा, यहाँ में पैसा मिलेगा, तो ये आम आदमी पार्टी विरोध कर रही है.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I just want to make one point, and that point is there is a war. We are in the 11th day of the war. The entire oil producing countries of the world are right now embroiled in this war. There are going to be problems. Anybody who thinks life is going to be as normal as it was before this war is clearly far away from reality. The fact of the matter is that there are going to be problems. We will have to make plans. The government so far managing the situation, watching out for getting different diversified sources other than the Gulf countries to meet their oil requirements. But in the meanwhile, please take a look at other countries around us in the region where there are all kinds of panic and austerity measures in place. This is not a time for political point scoring. This is the time to recognize what's going on in the world, prepare for it, and be one as a nation to meet the crisis that is emerging. President Donald Trump doesn't know whether the war is beginning or ending. Why is the opposition so up in arms about a war that is not the creation of India? It's a question they need to ponder about. We leave it at that. Thank you very much to all my panelists, and thank you viewers for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night, be safe. I'll be back tomorrow.